The rain doesn't ask permission before it falls. The sun doesn't need applause to rise. And you were not born to be a spectator of your own life. You were not made to drift in circles, to echo excuses, to recite the story others handed to you, and call it fate. You were made to choose. You are not a product of what happened to you. You are not the echo of your environment. You are not the final result of your upbringing, your city, your job title, or your trauma. You are a product of decision, and the decisions you refuse to make, they are building your life as much as the ones you do. Every indecision is a decision. Every hesitation is a direction. Every time you say, I don't know, you've just chosen nothing, and nothing compounds just as fast as something. You see, most people are waiting for better conditions, waiting for more clarity, waiting for some invisible sign that says, now it's your time. But life doesn't work that way. Life doesn't bend for those who hesitate. It only opens to those who decide, those who stand at the crossroads and say, I don't care if I'm scared. I don't care if I'm uncertain. I choose, because that is where power lives. Not in knowing, not in feeling ready, but in deciding anyway. Decision is a blade. It cuts through confusion. It slices away the lies. It tells your future. I am no longer at the mercy of circumstance. I am the maker now. Because let me tell you the truth. Circumstance is not your ceiling. It is your starting line. And the only thing standing between where you are and where you could be is the decision you keep avoiding. The decision to speak, to leave, to stay, to begin, to let go, to rise again. Because the decisions you make in silence will scream louder than any storm you face. Your job is not to know everything. It is not to feel perfect. It is not to have every step mapped. Your job is to decide to move and let movement show you who you are becoming. Because decision is more than a mental shift. It is a soul contract. It is the moment you stop renting your life and start owning it. So what do you believe? Do you believe you are too broken? Too far behind? Too late? That is a decision. And decisions are choices of belief. You can choose differently. You can say, today, I stop blaming what built me. Today, I choose to build myself. You can say, I will no longer major in minor things. I will no longer chase distraction. I will no longer be a victim of a life I refuse to author, because the pen is still in your hand. And the question is not whether you're capable. The question is whether you're willing to pay the price of clarity, willing to face the friction of discipline, willing to risk failure for the possibility of freedom. You see, decision isn't just about progress. It's about identity. Because every decision you make either confirms who you used to be or commits you to who you're becoming. Every day you get to decide which version of you lives another 24 hours. And the beautiful, brutal truth, that decision is always yours. So yes, let's go deeper. Let's pull the mask off of mindset. Because mindset is not some feel-good buzzword. It is the operating system of your life. It's not what you say you believe when things are going well. It's what you do when everything breaks. And most people, they've outsourced their mindset to circumstance. They feel good when the money flows. They feel strong when they're applauded. They feel certain when the path is smooth. But that's not mindset. That's momentum disguised as meaning. Real mindset, it's forged in friction. It's what whispers, we keep going when everything else says stop. It's what says, I choose to see this failure as feedback. I choose to see this delay as data. I choose to see this pain as preparation. Because mindset is a decision, not an emotion, not a personality trait, a choice made daily. And the core of that mindset, belief, not blind belief, not fake confidence, but a grounded, earned, unshakable belief that says, I was not born to drift. I was not built for average. I may have come from circumstance, but I am rising by decision. Belief is the most powerful decision you'll ever make, because your belief becomes your biology. It becomes your behavior. It becomes your reality. And every time you say, I'm not that kind of person, you reinforce the chain that's keeping you bound. But when you say, what if I am? You crack the door to a new life wide open. You see, the story you believe is the life you build. And when belief shifts, everything follows. But belief alone is not enough. You must back it with discipline, because a decision without discipline is just another daydream. Discipline is the declaration that says, my actions don't answer to how I feel. They answer to who I decided to be. Discipline is not punishment. It's not self-denial. It's self-respect. It's the daily demonstration that says, I'm serious about my future. Serious enough to say no to what's easy. Serious enough to build routines that protect my identity, not just my comfort. And the moment discipline locks in, your calendar changes. Your circle tightens. Your words sharpen. Your time becomes sacred. Because now, you don't live by emotion. You live by alignment. And the discipline becomes freedom. Because now, you don't need motivation. You are motivation. You don't ask for clarity, you walk in it. You don't seek validation. You are the standard. This is what decision looks like in motion. Clarity without apology. Conviction without compromise. Consistency without noise. Because this is where your life begins to take form. Not in theory, but in movement. Because decision without action is just noise. Just another thought trapped in your head. Another dream unbuilt. Another potential locked behind someday. But you are not here to wait for someday. You are here to build today. And action is sacred. Action doesn't care how scared you are. It doesn't care how confused you feel. Action only asks one thing. Will you move anyway? Because every action is a vote for who you're becoming. Every workout, every morning you rise before the sun. Every time you say no to what's easy and yes to what's aligned, you are casting a vote for the future that's already calling your name. This is how change compounds. Not by magic, not by motivation, by motion, by doing what others delay, by building when no one's watching, by moving in the dark until the results scream so loud the world can't ignore you anymore. But even action must learn to adapt, because the plan will break. Life will shift. Storms will come, and you will have to bend without breaking. This is where adaptability is born. Not in comfort, but in your willingness to evolve. You stop being romantic about the route. You fall in love with the destination, and you learn how to pivot without losing your posture. Because being adaptable doesn't mean being passive. It means being strategic. You don't give up. You adjust. You don't fall apart. You refocus. You don't shrink. You sharpen. That's resilience. Not bouncing back. Bouncing forward. Resilience says, throw what you want at me. I'll build with it. Resilience isn't about avoiding the fall. It's about choosing what you do when you hit the ground. Most people fall and get bitter. You fall and get better. Because now you're a learner. You study pain. You study mistakes. You study yourself. You know that every challenge is a course, and every setback holds a syllabus of truth. You become obsessed with growth, because the moment you stop learning is the moment you start dying. But now you're alive. Now you are awake. And now you're becoming unbreakable. Because when learning is your lifestyle, there is no loss, only leveling up. So what happens next? You integrate. You don't just do different things. You become someone new. And now you've stopped reacting to life. You've rewritten it. Then let's bring it home. Because this is no longer a speech. It's a summoning of the version of you that was buried beneath fear, beneath noise, beneath the illusion that life just happens. You know better now. You know that life doesn't happen to you. It happens through you, through what you decide, through what you repeat, through what you believe when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when no one even understands what you're building. Because most won't. They won't understand why you disappear to build, why you say no to the weekend, why you stay quiet in rooms that once defined you, why your old excuses no longer work on you. But that's okay. You weren't born to be understood. You were born to understand yourself, and now you do. You understand that discipline is your language. You understand that action is your native tongue. You understand that failure is just feedback, and resistance is the gym where greatness is carved. You understand that belief is not optional. It's oxygen. And now, final, you've decided. You've decided that your life is not a fluke. You've decided that you are not a side character. You've decided that you are not your fears, your doubts, or your past. You are not a product of your environment. You are not a statistic. You are not a shadow of what could have been. You are a product of decision. And decision is destiny made visible. So now, you walk different. You speak different. You live different. Not because life got easier, but because you got clearer. Clear about who you are. Clear about what you're building. Clear about what you'll no longer tolerate. From the world, from others, from yourself. And that clarity, that decision, that alignment, that's the frequency where everything changes. Because when your philosophy changes, your actions follow. And when your actions change, your outcomes follow. And when your outcomes change, the world responds. Not by accident, but by design. Your design. The design that started the moment you said, I am no longer waiting. I am no longer blaming. I am no longer negotiating with smallness. From this day forward, I am no longer a product of circumstance. I am the product of decision. And now the world has no choice but to rise to meet you. You can hire a coach. You can hire a trainer. You can hire a therapist, a strategist, a consultant, a nutritionist, a designer, a writer, a virtual assistant, a whole army of helpers to hold your hand through the darkness. But you cannot, and you will never be able to, hire out the work on yourself. There is no freelancer for your soul, no contractor for your character, no expert for your inner fire, and there is no substitute for the sweat equity required to build a life of substance. You can't delegate pain. You can't outsource discipline. You can't hire someone to face your fears, to rewrite your story, to endure the storm when the roof caves in and the lights go out. This journey of becoming is yours and yours alone. And the sooner you stop looking for shortcuts, the sooner you'll start becoming unstoppable. Because life doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. And who you are is forged in the invisible hours when no one is watching, when the rewards are nowhere in sight, when quitting would be easier than continuing. It's in those quiet wars that the loud victories are earned. And if you want to live a life that turns heads, you'd better start doing the inner work that breaks hearts wide, open starting with your own. Let me tell you the truth. The world is full of people chasing better tools, better apps, better systems. But the secret is not in the tool sits in the hands that hold them. Success is not a matter of getting more efficient at being mediocre. It's not about speed. It's not about access. It's about depth, depth of presence, depth of hunger, depth of truth. The man who sharpens himself is always more dangerous than the man who buys sharper weapons. You don't get rich by asking someone else to believe in you. You get rich the moment you decide to believe in yourself more than the world believes in comfort. because the world will sell you comfort at a premium. But growth, that's a debt you pay to your future self. One rep at a time, one uncomfortable conversation at a time, one early morning, one late night, one lonely step at a time. You will not rise by doing less than what's required. You will not become exceptional by reading about it. You will not change your life by hoping, waiting, or wishing someone else would hand you the key. The key is not outside of you. The key is you. And that's the terrifying beauty of it all. Because if the key is you, then you hold the power. And if you hold the power, then the only thing standing between who you are and who you want to be is the work you're still avoiding. There's a reason we'd rather scroll than sit with ourselves. A reason we numb instead of reflect. A reason we procrastinate on the very things that would heal us. It's not laziness, it's fear. Fear that if we really looked in the mirror, we might not like what we see. Fear that if we really told the truth, we might lose the lies we've clung to. Fear that if we did the real work, we'd have no one left to blame. But I'll tell you this, the moment you stop running from yourself is the moment life starts running towards you. Because clarity comes not from asking others what they think, but from sitting with your own chaos long enough to find the signal in the noise. Confidence doesn't come from applause. It comes from alignment. From knowing you are living in a way that does not betray your soul. And purpose? Purpose is not something you discover in a book. It's what you uncover when you strip away everything false. You want more? Be more. Want better? Get better. Want truth? Tell it. Want freedom? Earn it. Every transformation begins with one terrifying question. What if the life I want requires me to become someone I'm not yet? That question will keep you up at night. It will haunt your comfort. It will challenge your identity. But it will also awaken the sleeping giant inside you, the part of you that was never meant to play small, the part that is unbothered by setbacks, unafraid of opinions, uninterested in validation. That's the part of you that already knows. The inner work is not a burden, it's a privilege. It's not punishment, it's purification. You don't build a powerful life by avoiding pain. You build it by choosing meaningful pain over meaningless comfort, by choosing the weight that makes you stronger over the weight that breaks you down. And make no mistake, life will test you. Not because it's cruel, but because it's trying to see what you're made of. And every test is a mirror. Every hardship is a call to rise. Every delay is a sacred pause that asks, will you recalibrate or will you repeat? You can buy time. You can buy knowledge. You can buy followers, likes, even influence, but you cannot buy evolution. You cannot hire grit. You cannot fake hunger, not for long. The world will see through it. And worse, you'll see through it. You were not put here to impress. You were put here to impact, to walk through fire and come out forged, to become so anchored in who you are that the storms of life only polish you, not dismantle you. But to do that, you must stop avoiding the one job that will change everything, the work on yourself. No one is coming to do your push-ups. No one is coming to change your thoughts. No one is coming to regulate your emotions. No one is coming to enforce your boundaries, to rewrite your patterns, to silence the critic in your head. That's your job, and it always will be. Because the most dangerous belief in the world is that someone else will do it for you, that someone else will fix it, that someone else will carry the weight of your unlived life. They won't. They can't. And deep down, you don't want them to. You want to become someone you're proud of, someone your younger self would look up to, someone your future self will thank. That version of you is waiting, but they are not waiting in comfort. They are waiting on the other side of your excuses. They are waiting in the discomfort you've been dodging, in the books you haven't read, in the truths you haven't faced, in the promises you haven't kept. They are waiting in the mirror, and they are not impressed by potential. They are only moved by progress. The question is, are you willing to face yourself fully, honestly, without filters, without masks, without the need to explain or justify or rationalize your half efforts? Because that's where it starts. In the rawness, in the silence, in the ugly parts no one claps for. That's where greatness begins, not on a stage, not on a screen, but in the shadows. In the rituals no one sees. In the habits that don't go viral. In the 1,000 quiet choices that make you dangerous not to others, but to every excuse that ever tried to hold you back. You don't need a new plan, you need a new standard. One that makes excuses irrelevant. One that burns your bridges back to mediocrity. One that declares, this is who I am now, and nothing less will do. You see, most people think success is about motivation. It's not. Motivation is a spark. Standards are the fire. Motivation can get you to the gym. Standards keep you there when it's cold, when it's dark, when no one's watching, and your muscles are screaming for comfort. Motivation wears off. Standards endure. And the standard you set for yourself is the ceiling of your life. You want to change your life fast? Change what you tolerate. Not what you dream of, not what you wish for, but what you allow, what you settle for, what you excuse in yourself when no one's around. That's the line in the sand. That's the true thermostat of your destiny. Because the fastest way to succeed isn't to do more. It's to become someone for whom mediocrity is simply unacceptable. And that begins when you realize no one is coming to save you, but no one is stopping you either. You don't need the world's permission to rise. You don't need everyone's understanding to evolve. You don't need a flawless plan to begin. What you need is a decision. A line in the sand, burn the boats, never going back, kind of decision that says, I don't care how long it takes. I will become the kind of person who can no longer hide behind fear. Because the longer you delay the work, the more you live on borrowed time. And one day you'll look in the mirror and realize that while you were waiting to be ready, life wasn't waiting for you. Time doesn't care how scared you are. Opportunity doesn't knock twice. And your future self is screaming, stop hesitating, start becoming. The difference between those who rise and those who repeat is not talent, it's ownership. It's the willingness to stand in front of the wreckage of your past and say, this is mine, and I will rebuild from here. No more blame, no more victimhood, no more outsourcing responsibility for the shape of your life. This is the work. This is the moment. And this is the beginning of who you were always meant to be. You want to move fast? Clean house. Let go of the distractions disguised as entertainment. Let go of the friendships that run on nostalgia but not growth. Let go of the habits that kill your future in the name of feeling good now. Because the truth is, you are not overwhelmed. You are overcommitted to things that don't matter. You are not lost. You are distracted. You are not stuck. You are afraid to choose. And you are not too late. You are just one decision away from a completely different trajectory. But no one can make that decision for you. It's not about working harder. It's about working on the right thing. And the right thing is you. Every successful person you admire, they didn't get there by skipping the mirror. They didn't rise by outsourcing their self-respect. They didn't win by wishing their problems away. They faced the dragon. They stared into the abyss of their own limitations and refused to blink. That's what greatness looks like. Not perfection, but persistence. Not ease, but endurance. Not hacks, but humility. Because the person who is willing to do the deep, uncomfortable, soul-rearranging work on themselves becomes unstoppable. You can't control how the world responds, but you can control what you bring to it. Your energy, your integrity, your hunger, your level of preparation, your commitment to becoming someone who is undeniable. And that begins with asking the hardest question of all. What am I pretending not to know? That question will break you, but it will also rebuild you. Because in that space where illusions die and truth rises, you will find a version of yourself you forgot was possible. A version that's not addicted to shortcuts, but to strength. Not to applause, but to authenticity. Not to outcomes, but to excellence. A version that leads, not follows. That builds, not borrows. That creates from conviction, not convenience. And that version only emerges when you stop looking outward for answers and start digging inward for the truth. So dig. Dig like your life depends on it, because it does. Dig until you hit bedrock, until you find the beliefs you've buried, the pain you've ignored, the brilliance you've silenced. Dig until the lies crack open, and the gold inside you finally sees the light. That's the work. That's the revolution. That's the inner game no one can play for you. You don't need more tools, you need more courage. You don't need more tips, you need more truth. You don't need more help. You need to meet the version of you that has been buried under 1,000 distractions. The version who doesn't make excuses because they've made a decision. The version who doesn't wait for motivation because they've built momentum. The version who doesn't seek perfection because they've chosen power. And once you meet that version of you, you'll never go back. Because you'll realize the highest return on investment you will ever get is from the hours you spend building yourself. So build, not when it's easy, not when it's convenient. Build when it's raining. Build when you're tired. Build when you feel like a fraud. Build through the tears, through the resistance, through the voice in your head that says you're not ready. Because every time you do, that voice gets quieter. And the real you, the powerful you, gets louder. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you didn't just change your habits, you changed your identity. You didn't just build a life, you built a foundation. You didn't just survive, you transcended. Because you did what most won't. You stopped outsourcing the most important job in the world, the job of becoming you. So let the world chase trends. Let the world scramble for tactics. Let the world keep looking for shortcuts while you go straight into the fire. Because that fire, the one that scares most people away, is where your real strength is forged. Not in the moments when everything is going right. Not in the applause or the paycheck or the highlight reel. Your power is born in the silence, in the solitude. In the seconds when you decide that this pain will not break you, it will build you. You don't rise by avoiding discomfort. You rise by choosing it. You rise by making pain your partner, not your prison. Because pain is a teacher, and the student who listens becomes unstoppable. Discomfort is the birthplace of dominance. And if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. If you're not stretched, you're stagnant. If you're not scared of your next move, you're not dreaming big enough. You can't hire someone to push past your limits. That's your weight to lift. That's your battle to win. That's your mountain to climb. But here's the good news. You were built for it. Every scar, every failure, every heartbreak, it wasn't the end. It was a beginning. A signal that you were strong enough to face what others run from. A reminder that nothing worth keeping is earned through ease. And the reason it feels heavy is because you're carrying something valuable. Your evolution, your potential, your legacy. So don't put it down. You will be tempted to quit. You will have days where the voice in your head whispers, "Why bother?" And in those moments, you must respond with truth. You must say, "Because I refuse to live a life that was handed to me, I will live a life I earned." That's the voice of a warrior. That's the anthem of those who refuse to die with their dreams still inside them. So no, you can't hire someone to fix your mindset. You can't delegate courage. You can't subcontract the grit it takes to do what's necessary even when it's not easy. But you can decide, right now, that this moment is your turning point. No more pretending. No more half trying. No more waiting for the perfect time. This is the time. Because you are not behind, you are becoming. You are not broken. You are breaking through. You are not stuck. You are standing at the doorway of your next level. But you've got to walk through it. And that means shedding the skin of who you've been. Letting go of the identities that were never yours. The stories that kept you safe but small. The habits that felt familiar but fatal. You've got to stop defending your limitations. Because every time you say, "That's just how I am," you are reinforcing the very prison you're trying to escape. You are not fixed. You are fluid. You are not your past. You are your potential. You are not your wounds. You are what you do with them. So rise. Not later, not someday. Now. And let the world say, "Who does he think he is?" Let them mock. Let them question. Let them misunderstand. Because you don't need them to get it. You need to get you. You need to know what you stand for, what you're willing to sacrifice, what you're no longer willing to tolerate. And when you lock into that level of clarity, the world bends, doors open, people show up, opportunities emerge, not because the world changed, but because you did. Your energy changed, your presence changed, your standard changed. And when your standard changes, your life can't stay the same. But that standard has to come from within, not from pressure, but from principle, not from envy, but from vision, not from desperation, but from destiny. You were not born to chase, you were born to create. And creation begins with cultivation, the internal work of shaping yourself into someone capable of carrying the weight of your own greatness. So do the work in the dark, when it's thankless, when no one cares, when no one claps, when quitting is the easier option. Do the work when you're doubting. Do the work when it's boring. Do the work when you're not sure if it's working. Because here's the secret. It's always working. Not instantly, not loudly, but always. Every rep, every choice. Every morning you get up and act like the person you want to become, it's working. Change doesn't announce itself. It creeps. It compounds. And then one day the world wakes up and calls you an overnight success, but you'll know the truth. You'll know the lonely nights, the battles with your own mind, the times you could have quit but didn't, and you'll smile, not because it was easy, but because it was earned. You'll understand that freedom wasn't a gift, it was a result of doing the one thing no one else could do for you, the work on yourself. So when the world offers you another shortcut, decline it. When it offers you another distraction, delete it. When it hands you a new excuse, destroy it. Because you're not here to escape life. You're here to engage with it fully, fiercely, honestly. And the only way to do that is from the inside out. So don't wait for the pain to force the change. Choose the change. Choose to show up differently, think differently, believe differently, live differently. Because the world doesn't need another echo. It needs an original. And that original you only emerges when you stop outsourcing your becoming. You were never meant to be average. You were meant to be awake, fully alive, fully responsible, fully empowered. So take your place, not in comfort, but in calling, not in perfection, but in purpose, not in safety, but in self-mastery. Because the truth is this, no one can do the work for you. But once you do it, no one can take it from you. And once you've done the work once, you've bled in silence, cried in solitude, risen without applause, what you carry inside you becomes untouchable. You will walk differently, you will speak differently, not louder, but with more gravity, not to impress, but to express. The fire in your eyes won't be from anger or ego, will be from knowing what you've endured and, more importantly, what you've chosen not to run from. You will become immovable, not because you've never been shaken, but because you chose to plant yourself when everything told you to fall. This is not about chasing success. It's about becoming the kind of person success is drawn to. Not because of your appearance, not because of your resume, but because you are grounded, clear, committed. You don't negotiate with your standard. You don't dilute your purpose to be palatable. You don't shrink to fit into rooms that were never built for your destiny. You build the room, you raise the ceiling, you set the tone. That is what the inner work creates. Not just results, but radiance. A presence that cannot be faked, bought, or borrowed. A depth of being that says, I have wrestled with myself, and I did not tap out. People can feel it. The strength of someone who is whole, someone who has confronted their demons and shook their hand, someone who does not need the world to validate them because they have validated themselves through execution. You see, discipline is not restriction, it's liberation. Focus is not sacrifice, it's alignment. And healing is not weakness, it's the foundation of power. But none of that happens by accident. You don't stumble into clarity, you fight for it, you unlearn for it, you get uncomfortable for it. You step away from the noise and into the unknown, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. You become someone who runs toward responsibility, toward feedback, toward friction. Because you know that pressure is not the enemy, it's the proving ground. The diamond is not born in light. It is born in pressure, in darkness, in time. So are you. And once you embrace that process, the pace of your life will change. Not because the world slows down, but because you speed up. You get sharper, more intentional, more decisive, less impressed with distraction, less tolerant of delay, because you understand what most never will. That success is not the accumulation of things, it is the alignment of self. And alignment requires honesty, ruthless, raw, radical honesty with who you are, who you've been, and who you are becoming. You can't lie your way into a better life. You can't fake your way into fulfillment. You can't dress up dysfunction and call it destiny. You must strip it all back, lay it bare, and decide what stays and what goes. That belief, does it serve you or sabotage you? That relationship, does it expand you or exhaust you? That habit, does it build your vision or bury it? You don't need more information. You need more introspection. Because no level of outer achievement will ever compensate for inner confusion. And clarity doesn't come from doing more, it comes from becoming more aware. Aware of your patterns, aware of your triggers, aware of the gap between what you say you want and what you're actually building. Because let me be clear, you are always building something. The question is, you building your future or reinforcing your past? Every choice, every minute, every thought, it's either constructing the life you desire or cementing the one you're trying to outgrow. There is no neutral. There is no pause button on your evolution. You're either drifting or driving, surrendering to momentum, or sculpting your future with conscious intention. And when you truly get that, when it lands not just in your mind, but in your spirit, you will stop waiting for permission. You will stop asking, can I do this? And start declaring, I will do this because I must. You will no longer seek comfort. You will seek clarity. You will no longer fear failure. You will fear regret. You will no longer look for a savior. You will become your own. That is what the work on yourself creates. Not perfection, but power. Not invincibility, but indestructibility. A way of being that bends circumstances to your will because you've already conquered the chaos within. And when you live from that place, everything changes. You walk into rooms and people feel it. You speak and people listen not because you shout, but because your words are born from experience, not theory, from alignment, not performance. You become a lighthouse, not a lifeguard. You don't chase people, you attract them. You don't force respect, you embody it. Because the real work is magnetic, and it's always visible to those who've done it. So when you feel like quitting, when you feel like it's too much, when you feel like the mountain is too high and the road is too long, remember this: you don't have to do everything today, but you do have to take responsibility today. Responsibility for your choices, responsibility for your mindset, responsibility for the life you are actively co-creating, because no one else will. They can cheer for you, they can guide you, they can even walk beside you. But the steps are yours. And every step you take, every honest, hard, humble step is rewriting your story. Not the story of what happened to you, but the story of who you chose to become in spite of it. That is the sacred work, the eternal work. The work no one sees, but everyone feels. And as you walk this path, as you choose growth over comfort, truth over denial, purpose over pleasure, you begin to realize something most people never will, that the reward for doing the work on yourself is becoming someone who no longer needs to escape their life. You no longer need to numb, to run, to hide, to perform. You don't need the applause, the validation, the comparison. You don't need to be seen to be secure. You don't need to be understood to feel whole, because wholeness was never outside of you. It was waiting in the silence, in the sweat, in the commitment you kept to yourself when no one else was looking. And that's where your freedom lives, not in the outcome, but in the ownership. Ownership of your energy, ownership of your boundaries, ownership of your dreams. No one can take from you what you've built on the inside. No market crash, no betrayal, no rejection, no external storm can shake the fortress you forged in the fire of your own becoming. But that fortress doesn't build itself. You must choose it daily. You must choose your morning. Choose your thoughts. Choose your words. Choose your rituals. Choose your responses. Choose your environment. Choose your identity. And every time you choose from alignment instead of autopilot, from vision instead of validation, from growth instead of gossip, you cast a vote for the future you are becoming. That's how you build a life you don't need to escape from. One decision at a time. One honest moment at a time. And it won't always feel good. Growth rarely does, but it will feel real. And in a world drunk on illusion, real is a revolution. You don't need more motivation, you need a mirror. You don't need another guru, you need to trust your own inner compass. You don't need to hustle more, you need to align more. And alignment begins with integrity. Integrity with your values, with your vision, with the future you say you want. So ask yourself, are your actions an apology for your past or a declaration of your future? Because every action is a prayer. Every thought is a seed. Every habit is a vote for the life you want or the life you fear. And the truth is, it's working. Whether you see it or not. Whether you believe it or not. Whether you feel ready or not. The seeds you plant today become the fruit you feast on tomorrow. But only if you water them. Only if you protect them. Only if you trust that the invisible is still inevitable. If you don't quit. And that's what separates the dreamers from the doers. Not luck, not talent, not timing, but this simple, unshakable decision. I will not betray myself again. That decision, when made from the core, when backed by action, will burn away everything that doesn't belong in your life. The distractions will fall away. The noise will fade. The fear will lose its grip. And what remains is you, the real you, the powerful you, the healed, whole, grounded, unbreakable you, the you who no longer waits, the you who no longer begs, the you who no longer compromises your worth to be liked or accepted or seen, the you who knows that you don't need to do more, you need to become more. Become the one who shows up, regardless of the mood. Become the one who chooses consistency over chaos. Become the one who walks with vision while others drift in confusion. Become the one who makes discipline their default and excellence their expectation. Because that version of you, they already exist. They are not somewhere in the distance. They are buried underneath the layers of delay, of doubt, of distraction. And the work you do on yourself is how you set them free. So don't just dream it. Don't just talk about it. Don't just plan it. Live it. Become it. Own it. Because no one can do this for you. And once you do it, no one can undo it. And when that moment comes, when you've carved away everything false, when you've stared down your demons and refused to flinch, when the old you is nothing more than ash at your feet, something extraordinary happens. You don't just evolve. You ignite. You become the flame, not the moth. You stop chasing light and start being it. You no longer need to convince anyone. Your life becomes the evidence. Not the speeches, not the quotes, not the hopes, but your presence, your posture, your precision. You become a signal to others of what's possible. Not by being perfect, but by being real. Not by arriving, but by walking every day with clarity, with hunger, with relentless self-respect. And people will ask, how did you do it? And you will smile not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. You'll say, I stopped waiting for someone to do it for me. I stopped selling myself short. I stopped begging life to be easy and started asking me to be stronger. Because the truth is, life will never be easier. But you can become better, wiser, sharper, bolder, not through luck, not through waiting, but through work. The kind you can't fake, the kind you can't delegate, the kind that leaves a mark not just on your calendar, but on your character. And once you've done it once, you've built you. There's no going back. You can't unlearn your power. You can't unknow your worth. You can't unfeel the fire of a life lived with full intention. That's what all this is for. Not a moment of applause, not a trophy on the shelf, but that look in your own eyes that says, I didn't run from myself. I met me. You want to live fast? Then live real. Live raw. Live rooted in something deeper than convenience. Live in pursuit of becoming, not impressing. Live in truth, even when it's inconvenient. Live in discipline, even when it's thankless. Live in alignment, even when no one else understands it. Because when the dust settles, when the noise dies down, when the world stops spinning for just a second, it won't be your followers, your titles, your metrics that define you. It will be this. Did you show up for you? Did you become the person no one else could create for you? Did you choose the pain of growth over the illusion of safety? Did you do the work only you could do? Because that is the work that changes everything. You can't hire it. You can't hack it. You can't fake it. You can only become it. So become it and never, ever look back. There is no neutral ground. Every single day, you are either writing your story or being written into someone else's. There's no standing still. There's no middle lane. Life is happening with or without your permission. And if you don't rise up and decide who you are, where you're going, and what you're building, someone else will decide for you. The system already has a plan. It's written in deadlines that aren't yours, in goals that don't fulfill you, in rules that shrink your soul. And if you're not awakefully awake, you'll slip into it like a suit that doesn't fit and wear it like it was meant for you. But deep down, you'll know that this life doesn't feel like it's yours, that this job, this path, this rhythm, it's scripted. It's safe. It's survivable, but it is not yours. And if you don't break that cycle, it will bury your potential, not in one blow, but in tiny, comfortable compromises. The meetings you didn't say no to, the dreams you kept putting off, the calendar you filled with everything but your own soul's work. And then one day you look up and wonder, how did I get here? The answer, you didn't choose. You drifted. Because drifting is easy. It's rewarded. It looks responsible, but it's just dressed up delay. And let me tell you something, most people won't. If you don't wake up every single day with a plan for your life, you will be pulled into someone else's. And here's what they have planned for you. Not much. Maybe a role, maybe a number, maybe a salary, but not your legacy, not your destiny, not your truth. Because those things must be built deliberately, brick by brick, with sweat, with silence, with intention. No one will hand you your dream life in a meeting. You won't find it on a job board. You won't be promoted into your purpose. You have to plan it, design it, define it so clearly that the world can no longer offer you anything that doesn't match it. That starts in the mind. You need a mindset that is not reactive, but sovereign. A mindset that doesn't check the temperature of the day before deciding to show up. A mindset that no longer takes orders from fear or trends or other people's expectations. Because mindset is where all movement begins. You don't get clarity from waiting. You get clarity from choosing to lead. And when your mindset shifts, so does everything else. You begin to see that belief is not a luxury. It's a requirement. You must believe in your own authority to craft your life. You must believe that your ideas have weight, that your preferences matter, that your vision is not just valid, it's non-negotiable. Without that belief, you'll keep handing over the pen to bosses, to partners, to algorithms, to people who have no idea what you were born to do. but are more than happy to write your role into their plot. Belief is what makes you impossible to manipulate. When you know who you are, you become dangerous to systems built on conformity. And from belief flows clarity, real clarity. Not just what you want to do, but who you want to become. Because when you get clear on your identity, you stop trying to fit in where you were never meant to stay. You stop asking, how do I make this work? And start asking, what is this costing me? Clarity exposes the compromises. It reveals the hours spent building someone else's dream while yours sits untouched. It reveals the meetings that drain you, the people who don't get you, the goals that aren't yours. And from clarity comes vision, not a wish list, not a Pinterest board, but a vivid, defined, gut-level knowing of what your life must become. So strong you can feel it in your bones. So loud it drowns out the noise. Vision that says, this is where I'm going. And anything that doesn't align, it's gone. That kind of vision makes you magnetic. It makes you immovable. It makes you inevitable. But it only becomes real when you pair it with discipline. Discipline is the structure that holds the dream in place. Without it, your vision is just fantasy. With it, your vision becomes inevitable. Discipline says, I choose me, even when no one claps. Even when no one sees, even when it's hard and quiet and slow. Discipline says, my goals are not negotiable. My standards are not suggestions. And my dream does not exist to fit someone else's timeline. You show up not because it's easy, but because it's yours. And when you combine belief, clarity, vision, and discipline, you reclaim something sacred, your time, because time is the most valuable thing you own. And every second you don't spend building your dream is a second spent building someone else's. And when you understand the value of time, truly feel it deep in your bones, you begin to treat your life like what it is, non-refundable. You stop giving your best hours to meaningless meetings. You stop saying yes to plans that don't serve your mission. You stop living on someone else's schedule and start honoring your divine urgency, because life doesn't wait and legacy doesn't build itself. You begin to move with gratitude, not the soft, casual kind, but the kind that says, every hour I get is a privilege. Every breath is a resource, and I refuse to waste them living someone else's dream. Gratitude grounds you. It reminds you that you're already equipped, that you're not starting from nothing. You're starting from enough. And from that rooted place, you become adaptable, because life will test your plans. It will throw punches. It will shift timelines. But if your character is intact, if your clarity is real, you won't break. You'll adjust. You'll bend without folding. You'll pivot without panicking, because your mission isn't attached to method. Your purpose isn't bound to comfort. You're not here to be flexible in your standards, only flexible in your strategy. That's real resilience, not bouncing back, but bouncing forward, transforming setbacks into stepping stones, using failure as a forge, not a finish line. And every time you rise again, you become stronger, smarter, sharper, wiser, because you're learning, not just about the world, but about yourself. Learning that you don't need all the answers. You just need the conviction to keep asking better questions. Learning that feedback isn't failure. It's refinement. It's clarity. It's the raw material of growth. And with every lesson, you get more dangerous, more aligned, more unstoppable, because now you are living on purpose, not reacting architecting, not waiting waking, not hoping building. And the people around you will feel it. Your standards will speak before you do. Your energy will shift rooms. Your consistency will earn you access. Your vision will inspire others, to ask themselves, whose plan am I living? Because once you've tasted a life that's truly yours, you can never go back. You become allergic to small talk, to shallow goals, to environments that dilute you. You protect your time like treasure. You protect your mind like a fortress. You protect your soul like it's the blueprint of something eternal. And now, you don't just have a plan, you are the plan. You walk like it. You speak like it. You live like it. With intention, with precision, with fire. Because if you don't plan your life, someone else will use you in theirs. And now, you're done being used. You're done being driftwood. You're done being a background character in someone else's story. You are the author. You are the leader. You are the architect. And from this moment forward, you live like it. Then hear this, not as advice, but as a call to arms. Because your life is not a rehearsal. This is it. This is the show. And the curtain is already rising. No more postponing your greatness. No more editing your dreams to fit someone else's comfort. No more sleepwalking through a life that doesn't belong to you. You don't need more time. You don't need more approval. You don't need more signs. You just need one thing, ownership. The quiet, relentless, powerful decision to say, this life is mine. Every hour, every choice, every breath, mine. And because it's mine, I will no longer give away my calendar, my confidence, or my calling to people who didn't earn it. I will no longer confuse distraction with duty. I will no longer mistake busy for a line. I will no longer chase what looks good and abandon what feels right. From this moment forward, I rise on purpose. I move with intent. I walk like the architect of something that outlives me. I write my days in ink, not pencil. I protect my peace like an empire. And I guard my dream like it already changed the world. Because the truth is brutal but simple. If you don't plan your life, someone else will use you in theirs. And when that happens, you don't just lose time, you lose yourself. But not anymore. Not you. Not now. You are done renting your life out by the hour. You are done living from the outside in. You are done mistaking existence for impact. Now, you live like a blueprint in motion, a plan in human form, a purpose with a pulse. And when they ask, who gave you permission to live this boldly? You'll answer without flinching, I did, because I stopped living inside their story and started writing my own. Now go, write it, live it, be it. Because once you step into that authority, once you stop waiting for life to choose you and you start choosing yourself, you awaken a force inside you that nothing outside of you can stop. You no longer respond to pressure. You create it. You no longer fit into plans. You command the blueprint. You no longer ask, what if I fail? Instead, you declare, what if I don't show up and the world misses what only I could bring? Because this isn't just about your goals. This is about your impact. This is about every person your courage will unlock. Every generation your discipline will influence. Every room your alignment will shift. You are not just living your life. You are leading by example. And every time you say yes to your own plan, you give silent permission for others to rise. So live bold, live, structured, live tuned to your highest frequency. Not someday, but now. Not when it's convenient, but especially when it's hard. Not when it's safe, but especially when it feels uncertain. That's how you claim your freedom. That's how you leave a mark. That's how you rise from average to aligned, from passive to powerful, from surviving to sovereign. And if anyone asks how you built all this, how you created a life that reflects your deepest truth, you'll look them in the eye and say, I planned it relentlessly, religiously, because no one was ever going to hand it to me. So I stopped waiting. I designed it. I protected it, and I never let the world write my story again. And that is how legacies are born, not by chance, but by choice, by people who had the audacity to plan their own lives when everyone else was handing theirs away. The saddest thing about life is not death. It's to get to the end and realize you never truly lived. You didn't burn through the flame of your calling. You didn't shape your days with intention. You didn't follow the fire, you just stared at the smoke. This world is full of people buried with dreams still inside them. Books unwritten, ideas unspoken, businesses unbuilt, impact unmade. Not because they were lazy, but because they were waiting for permission, waiting for clarity, waiting for a sign louder than their excuses. And they had potential, so much of it. You could feel it in their words, in their spirit, in their dreams whispered late at night. But they never lived with purpose. So they died with it all, still trapped inside. Don't let that be you, because life is not about potential. Potential is nothing without direction. Potential without purpose is just wasted genius in disguise. Purpose is the great activator. It is the force that gives every action meaning, every day structure, every breath weight. You don't find purpose. You choose it. You commit to it. You craft it out of who you are and who you refuse to die without becoming. Purpose starts in the mind. It begins with the decision to live your life as if it actually matters. Because the truth is this: you will either live on default or live on design. And default is cheap. It costs you everything. It's waking up and drifting through routines built by other people. It's chasing safety, chasing salary, chasing what's expected. It's mistaking motion for meaning and busyness for bravery. But design, that takes courage. It takes ownership. It takes the radical decision to say, I will no longer rent my life to the opinions of others. Design means you sit down, look yourself in the eye, and define what matters. Define who you are. Define what you stand for and what you will no longer tolerate. From that clarity comes belief. Belief that you're not here by accident. Belief that your life is the message. Belief that playing small doesn't protect you, it imprisons you. You were not given breath to blend in. You were not born just to pay bills and scroll away your brilliance. You were not meant to live half awake and call that survival. You were built to burn with focus, with fire, with purpose. And purpose requires discipline because the world will try to distract you. Every single day, it will hand you someone else's schedule, someone else's emergency, someone else's dream. And if you don't have discipline, you will fall into their plan. And trust me, their plan for you is never as big as the one you could build yourself. Discipline is the daily contract you sign with your highest self. It's what says, I'm not here for comfort. I'm here for contribution. It's what pulls you out of bed when the mood fades. It's what guides your actions when no one's watching. Because purpose without structure becomes noise. And you're not here to make noise. You're here to make impact. Discipline anchors that impact into action. And action real, repeated, refined action becomes the echo of your character. It says more than your words ever could. It speaks for you when you're tired. It builds a body of work that doesn't beg to be seen. It demands to be respected. But even as you act, you must stay grateful. Gratitude doesn't make you soft. It makes you solid. It reminds you that you've already survived 100% of your worst days. It sharpens your awareness, so you stop chasing what others have and start recognizing what's already in your hands. Because your purpose isn't hiding in some distant destination. It's buried beneath the noise. It's waiting in the silence. It's standing right in front of you, disguised as the thing you keep telling yourself you're not ready for. But you are. You've always been. Not because you're perfect, but because you're willing to rise, willing to build, willing to become. This is what separates those who live on fire from those who die full of dreams. The ones who don't wait to feel ready. The ones who move anyway. The ones who wake up with a vow in their chest that says, I will not let my life expire unused, because potential is a beautiful thing, but it is not a guarantee. It is a gift. And if you don't use it, it becomes regret. So you must choose. Choose to burn the old excuses. Choose to bury the distractions. Choose to live like today might be your last shot to make it count. Because it might be. Because once you've made that choice to live, not just with energy, but with intention, you start to understand that life doesn't bend for the talented. It bends for the resilient. Because purpose isn't protected by perfect conditions. Purpose is proven in pressure. And if you plan to live this life wide awake, on fire, on mission, then you must become someone who can adapt. Because purpose doesn't mean comfort. It means constant recalibration. The path will twist. The timing will shift. The plan will change. But the principle must remain. I am not here to coast. I am here to climb. Adaptability isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's knowing when to bend without breaking, when to move without losing momentum, when to shift your method but never touch your mission. It's the discipline of adjusting the sails when the wind changes and still reaching the shore. And when storms come, because they will, you'll need more than vision. You'll need resilience, the kind that doesn't ask for sympathy, the kind that doesn't make excuses, the kind that says, you can test me, you can delay me, but you cannot deny me, because purpose plants roots. And when you're rooted, no storm can uproot you. You don't run when it's hard. You dig deeper. Resilience is what carries you through the silent seasons, when no one claps, when nothing's trending, when you wonder if any of this is even working. That's when most people give up, not because they couldn't win, but because they couldn't wait. But you know, waiting isn't weakness when it's active. You don't wait in place. You wait while building, while studying, while becoming, because learning never stops when you're living with purpose. You're not here to be the smartest in the room. You're here to be the sharpest. You learn from failure. You learn from delay. You learn from the pain, the pause, the pressure. Every chapter becomes a class. Every setback becomes strategy. And eventually, you realize something powerful. You are not who you were when you started this. You are stronger, clearer, deeper. You've outgrown old fears. You've retired the old excuses. You've stopped waiting to become ready. Because now, you are the readiness. You've gone from dreamer to doer, from potential to purpose, from possibility to proof. And now the world can feel it. You don't move the same. You don't speak the same. You don't settle the same, because purpose has rewired you. You've stopped chasing applause. You've stopped borrowing your identity from approval. You've stopped asking for permission to shine. Now you lead. Now you own. Now you live in a way that makes the word potential irrelevant, because you've activated it. You don't just inspire. You impact. You don't just talk change. You are change. And the world will feel that. In your words, in your work, in your wake. Then let this be the moment everything changes. Not someday. Not when you feel more ready. Not when it's more convenient. Now, because you've seen the difference. You've felt the contrast. You know what it's like to have potential, and you've tasted what it means to live with purpose. And there is no going back. You can't unsee what you now know. You can't unfeel the fire that's been lit. You can't unknow that your life, your one and only life, was never meant to be ordinary. It was meant to shift the atmosphere, to ripple through generations, to stand as proof that someone once had the audacity to live fully. Because purpose isn't a possession. It's a path. It's a discipline. It's a declaration you make with every breath that says, I will not leave this earth full of potential. I will leave it empty. Empty of every dream I turned into reality. Every idea I executed. Every ounce of energy I poured into something meaningful. So from this moment forward, you don't just exist. You build. You burn. You become. You wake up not asking, what do I have to do? You wake up declaring, what am I called to do? And how fully can I show up for it today? You stop chasing a life of comfort and start constructing a life of contribution. You don't hoard your talent. You harvest it. You don't water down your voice. You amplify it because there are people waiting on the other side of your courage. People who need your words, your work, your vision. People who will be freed because you decided to live on purpose. And if you ever feel tired, remember, you're not tired from the work. You're tired from the weight of potential you've yet to convert into reality. Purpose doesn't drain you. It fuels you because it aligns your soul with your schedule, your gift with your grind, your fire with your focus. And when that happens, you don't just build wealth. You build worth. You build witness. You build a legacy so loud it echoes long after your voice is gone. So, ask yourself, when it's all said and done, what will they say about you? That you had potential? Or that you fulfilled it? That you played it safe? Or that you lit the world on fire with your purpose? The choice was always yours. So live like it. Burn like it. Be it. Because the greatest tragedy is not death. The greatest tragedy is dying with purpose still trapped inside you. Now go. Live with it. Breathe with it. Lead with it. Because you were never meant to die with potential. You were born to live with purpose.